Garitonda Geshe Kyomanda Metene Bejanda Tawata Timba Doje
Ezo Chone Taje Nenja Denden Tene Saji Beje Joje Mezo Tam Pida Linche Nyinde Gemo
Cindy, Nagi the dog to you.
So to counteract that kind of attachment and clinging to this life and marvels of this lifetime, if we consider preciousness of fully endowed human life and how difficult it is to find this kind of life over and again, and having found it, it's not going to last forever because it is very transient in nature. So if we understand and consider these matters seriously and reflect upon them, then such understanding and reflection will help us to counteract our attachment, with just kind of a preoccupation with this life and achievements of all worldly kinds for this life.
Tanjo Nika, the ancient but that tree Maduna thing you hold on to the Kixi, that you take it. Die, tell a long member, that child Mataba the Yandu Sotan and Lamson getting your make a Jermuchel. Tell a long member, rang tell and in long member, never members. Rang selling never was on those things, Junting even do some time in and same day no one came by with dog rest coming.
So basically, as Geshe says in his three principal aspects of the path, the three principal paths, Lamsa Namsum, he says, Tenzin Dorjee tell a long meba. You see, almost, in the one sentence, he combined them together. If we think about how difficult and rare it is to find fully endowed human life, and this life does not really give us unlimited time and opportunities to do all kinds of things, because this life has a limit. It is transient. So if you consider these matters, then we will be able to decrease our attachment and clinging to this life and the marvels of this lifetime. After all, we think that, how could I waste this precious human life simply, getting stuck with the things of this lifetime? I need to move forward, go beyond, otherwise I'm just wasting my life. And secondly, this life has a limit. It is not here for indefinite time. And we don't know when this life is going to come to an end. So because this life has a limit, how much we achieve in this lifetime, it has to come to an end, one day. Yeah, so that does not make much of a sense, if in that perspective.
So that thanking him a sure, but then the getting Jambe again with some data. Tanjo Nika, the thing put it, Marie, Tanjo Nika, the Chama Tabani was younger, so those 10 nani, and it's same day, but Doya chat and those 10 numbers.
So as I told you before, when Manjushri spoke to or taught Geshe, he taught those two things together. Appreciating and understanding fully endowed human life, precious human life, how difficult it is to find this kind of life over and again, and how transient or impermanent this life is. So by reflecting upon these things, we should be able to counteract our, grasping at the permanence of life and grasping at things of just this lifetime.
But in this, I'm saying now the Kemba Doba Sanction to you, Amari. So some pinching, and then now the Kemba dog goes.
So if you ask, okay, so if we kind of find antidotes and apply them to counteract our grasping at permanence of life here and also grasping at things of this lifetime, so is that okay? So then we will be, doing everything we need to do? The answer is no. As much as we need to cut off our grasping at this life and things of this lifetime, we also need to cut off our attachment and grasping at future lives and things of the future lives, or the marvels of future lives in samsara.
Now that Kemba but Doya the Karibu Sena and Lende Molo, but the Lendil some Pancoris. Lendi Molo Covid Dunet, Lendi Moloata, Tarana Covid Duneti Yanni and the Sami, Sambina, and it's just some pinky letter, Korean nail, share down, Korean nigger, Lonshula, Mashak, Tandushini, Yashiman hanging to your risk Canado.
So if we ask like, okay, so I can't get attached to and grasp at this life and things of this lifetime, so I need to cut off my attachment and grasping, at this life and the marvels of this lifetime. And then also I need to cut off my attachment and grasping at future lives in samsara and the things of future lives in samsara. So how can I do that? But as Manjushri tells Lama Tsongkhapa, if we consider and reflect upon the infallible working of natural law of karma and its actions, as well as the suffering nature of samsara, if we consider these themes of the matter seriously, then we would be able to cut off our attachment and grasping at future lives in samsara, and things go with, future lives in samsara. If we understand and develop a belief in the infallibility of natural law of karma and actions, then we are not going to create negative karmic actions, because we know and believe that negative karmic actions will bring negative results. If I use a metaphor to illustrate my point here, once we understand infallibility, infallible working of law of karma and actions, and then creating negative karmic actions is just like we are producing, weapons to destroy ourselves. Because after all the negativities we create will come back to us, and we have to pay the prices, as you would say. So this is like we are being self-destructive. By creating negative karmic actions, we are being self-destructive. We are producing, metaphorically speaking, weapons to kill ourselves. Even if we are capable of harming, someone in this lifetime, we should not do that, because by harming someone, that karma will bite us, someday. It will come back. So the point I'm trying to make here is all of us need to understand and be mindful of our actions, so that we do not indulge in any negative actions of body, speech, and mind, such as killing, stealing, lying, and so on. Because by indulging in such negative actions, we are being self-destructive, because these karmas that we create and accumulate will ripen upon ourselves. So I took a little bit of a time to talk about these different themes, because I think these are all very important for all of us, and so I have taken a chance to talk about these things. So now let's return to our wonderful text called A Miscellaneous Collection of Kadampa Geshes Advices. And we started off, several weeks ago, with three main practices or key points, each of them supported by three subsidiary or secondary points or practices. So basically we have three key practices, and each of them supported by three subsidiary or supplemental practices, so 9 of them. And we started off with the first key practice point, which is training of the mind, or mind training, Lo Chongwa in Tibetan. And of course there are many ways to train our mind, but according to the great Dom Tenpa, there are three things which are very important as a part of that. And one is meditating on impermanence, which already talked about. And the other is meditating on love and compassion. We talked about that last week. And now we move on to the third subsidiary or supplemental key point here, which is meditating on two selflessnesses, or meditating on two types of selflessness.
Voilà, dame ni se yores dame pa ni se. Ti kare sana dame ni yung go kare sana ane ma ta chue sana mendo heja de la ane chue ta kansa sing ji dan do se ni se chong.
So we talk about two types of selflessness, or two selflessnesses. Why? Because one way to classify everything that exists, we call phenomena, would be to categorize them into two, persons and then the rest of the other phenomena. And so when we have those two categories, by person and phenomena, so we can talk about two selflessnesses.
To kare sana good machi yang mo things. Ore tati dan do sine chue ta kansa se ten do sine yang shen na kansa chue regres che ja tham ji chue ya ba yin sin ji chue yin se go chue res rang ngon jing ba jing go rang ngon zo chue chin sin yo ra ja cha kansa te chue re go ra sin na di ka so chue ta kansa sen do she go ya te jun ji yo ra.
In a general sense, people or persons, as we would say, are also phenomena, because also Dharma is a polysemantic term. It means many things. So one of the meanings is that everything that exists is called Dharma, or Che in Tibetan, phenomenon. And so in that sense, existence and phenomena are synonyms. Anything that exists is a phenomenon. Anything that is a phenomenon is an existent. Okay, so they are synonymous in that sense. And so the way we defined phenomenon is anything that literally translating here, that holds its own entity or identity. That which holds its own identity is called phenomenon here. And so persons are phenomena, no doubt. But there is a reason why we, if you will, we take persons, from the rest of the phenomena and put them in one category, and then put the rest of the things as phenomena.
That the tanda kansa se da phungbo ngapo karu na tens. Phungbo ngayo ta phungbo nga. Phungbo ngapo karu na ten ta be shebe se ta tele kansa ngin je san do shegu. Shena yoba tan jin do yu am so cha so se chengu res.
The reason for categorizing phenomena into persons and phenomena, in this case, is because a person is an interesting phenomenon in that person is a label that is given onto either let me put it this way. A person is a label that is given onto any of the 5 aggregates or skandhas. Now, that is the definition of a person. A person is, that which is labeled onto any of the 5 aggregates or skandhas. Great Indian Master Acharya Chandrakirti, in his supplement to the middle way or Madhyamik Avatar states, as Geshe quoted the lines from his memory, in order to help beings to be liberated, 2 selflessnesses are advanced, selflessness of a person and selflessness of phenomena.
So that church think damage, church damage, Kansak damage, Niseta, church rangiche, maps, rangiche madrupasan and digindo, rangin the madrupasan and digit, anite, church dameta, Kansak rangiche madrupasan and do, Kansak demba madrupasan and digindo, ante any Kansak damage, those young ones.
When we consider how person does not exist objectively in and of themselves, that is what we call selflessness of a person. And when we consider how other phenomena, they do not exist in and of themselves, they do not exist from their own side, or they are not truly existent, that is what we call selflessness of phenomena. If we understand and realize any of these 2 selflessnesses, because the 2 selflessnesses are, not qualitatively different from one another, then if we understand the selflessness of a person, we would, be able to understand the selflessness of a phenomena and vice versa.
In other words,
if we realize the selflessness of a person, now when we shift our focus to other phenomena, we are able to realize the selflessness of these other phenomena. Because as selflessness, there should not be any difference. So that being said, in other words, if we understand and realize the selflessness of phenomena, we will understand the selflessness of a person, and we understand the selflessness of a person, we understand the selflessness of phenomena. Because, there is no qualitative difference between the 2 selflessnesses. That being said, for ordinary practitioners, it is advised, recommended, that, maybe we should first approach selflessness based on ourselves as persons. Because we might find it easier to understand selflessness of a person as compared to selflessness of phenomena. So in other words, we sometimes use the term emptiness shunyata or sunnata for selflessness, which comes to the same thing. Now, if we realize emptiness of a person, we should not have any difficulty to realize emptiness of all other phenomena, because just simply based upon our realization of emptiness of a person, through inference, we should be able to realize the emptiness of other phenomena. So the point I just made, that if we realize emptiness of a person, we should be able to realize emptiness of other phenomena without difficulty. And I'm relating to that experience of emptiness of a person. And this is what exactly great Indian master Aryadeva, the main disciple of Arya Nagarjuna, states clearly in his 400 stanzas on emptiness. It is called Chatuk Shatak, Shakyamuni in Tibetan, and Geshe quoted the stanza from his memory. So basically, Deva is telling us that if we see reality of a phenomenon, if we view or see the reality of a phenomenon, we should be able to see reality of other phenomena as well. Now, if you ask what is the best approach or the methods that one could adopt to understand emptiness or selflessness, then the answer is we need to understand what is meant by dependent arising or pratit samutpat or tendo in Tibetan. It is stated elsewhere that the authentic and reasoning of dependent arising can destroy the network of many misconceptions, particularly the misconception relating to inherent existence of phenomena.
So that Jasi Jumbo Pavala Mari Dawata the share Tenju Rupandi, Tangin Tawata the Jabrish, Tenju Pesheres, Jose Chana, Tenju Rupandi, Tawangi with Tawata Juguriskan.
As a matter of fact, great Indian master Acharya Chandrakiri has stated that by using this reasoning of dependent arising, pratit samutpat, that we could cut through the network of distorted conceptions or misconceptions.
Narancho Sambo Tomaji Matong in terms of Karesana and a Maripe Danzi Maripas Minak Natsudio. Say it on to your angel.
Those of us who have not realized the emptiness as it is, we are shrouded in the darkness of ignorant grasping at true existence of self and phenomena. We do not understand the ultimate nature of self and phenomena, so therefore we have this ignorance within us, and we are shrouded in this ignorance.
Ane yang tabi zute tonggu yarte to tonggu yama chesa ta karishina ngarang golo chance ane nyomi pe wangke ane lenge ba chansa te pi wang te kola yani yan do shi karishina ngarang so degu yarste ti de goya ta karishina samotoma yite mato pe wang ane ngarang so lenge ba san ti wang ko yares.
Yes, we do want to see realities as they are, but do we? The answer is no. We are shrouded in this ignorance of grasping at true existence of self and phenomena, and therefore we do not see realities as they are. Because of this ignorance, other forms of delusion arise in our mind, and under the influence of ignorance and other delusions, we find ourselves indulging in many wrong actions and negativities, and which bring us a lot of troubles and problems. So because of the fact of that we are shrouded in ignorance, so we make so many mistakes and do so many wrong things which we should not be doing and we don't want to do. And so in other words, what I'm saying here is the reason why we are in samsara, we are stuck in samsara, we are not out of samsara, is because we have not yet realized emptiness as it is.
So that the gom is that notion ale tambo rang the goms that danger that tinjung tin jong that tin jong in but in don't the hakogores. Kare is a pena chu kandiki in a chu kandiki in a Juta Chen, Yana Juchin Mangat in the Yana to Kiliki turn in those Yaya Mato, Ko Rangan Trubaju, Rangi Trubachani, Mevers.
So if we look at things or phenomena, how do they exist? They exist dependently. So dependent arising, has several levels of meaning, if you will. Number one, that it could mean, dependent arising means that things are dependent upon their causes and conditions. They have that kind of relationship, cause and effect relationship between. So that means if the causes don't exist, the results won't exist, because the results are brought about or produced by causes and conditions. And so that tells us that things don't exist in and of themselves. So that's one understanding of dependent arising, when we say things exist dependently. Now another understanding of dependent arising is that maybe all things do not have cause and effect relationship with each other, but they are certainly, dependent upon each other for existence. So there is that kind of interdependence. If one thing doesn't exist, then the other thing cannot exist, because that other thing is dependent upon that one thing for its existence. So that is another understanding of relativity, how things are posited in relation to one another. They may not have cause and effect relationship, but they certainly, exist in relation to something else. So that's another understanding of dependent arising.
Tani tambo rang those day in that so some tank. And so those in that under me chire of us. So to that was Jonsadi. Due to any rank, she said how many with child of us. They upon those two in any social later 2 years of us.
So now first we can start thinking about ourselves, as focus of our investigation. Now when we look at our, life and body, how has our life come about? How have we come about into this world? We can go all the way back to, the day we conceived in the womb of our mother. So definitely our life is dependent upon our mom and dad. Without them, we couldn't have been here and we couldn't exist. But now we can go beyond that. That it is because of the karma we created in the past to be reborn as a human being. So because of that karma, we were able to conceive in the womb of human mothers. And and through the through the efforts of human moms and dads, that we have been able to be reborn as a human being, and so our life is clearly an outcome of those causes and conditions.
That any lay sagres, give lay sanita military. just a giving Sadusane, giving Sasaka, Sayu Tetan, Le Sajuk Letan, Rantanzu Dusin Jamni, Yandishu Duni, Gumato, Yan Letan ko Rangish to Bachan to us.
So as I said, that we could trace the origin of our life all the back to, the conception in the womb of our mother. We can even go beyond that, because if we had not created the positive karma to be reborn as a human being, we couldn't be here. We could be somewhere else, but not here in the human world as a human being. But then even in terms of creating that positive karma, because only positive karma results in human rebirth, that karma did not exist in and of itself inherently, because that karma involves so many other factors or variables, as we would say. It involved the motivation, it involved the action, it involved the in relation to whom we created that karmic action, So all those factors contributed to that particular positive karmic action. So now you see that how things are dependently existent, even in these cases, that they don't exist in and of themselves.
So that Karina, Kandiki, Min Tasa Gin, Dorjee, Samaki Gugata, they let any pan those Tabaki Mato, Krang when you treat that thing when you try Johnny maybe something.
So at the deepest or the subtlest level, if you will, dependent arising or dependent existence, it means that phenomena are merely imputed by terms and concepts onto their valid basis of imputation. That's how things exist. No more, not more, not less. That's what it is. Things could not have come about into existence if there aren't valid basis of imputation. It is onto the valid basis of imputation, labels have been imputed upon to these things, and that's how things exist. In other words, things are mere labels.
Mila tene and nata tene mita dosine susu wambu susu she mandawa she be chani that they stavre mato the yenda mena the marvelous.
So now let me tell you a little bit about how things exist in relation to each other, maybe not necessarily in cause and effect relationship, but in terms of relativity. That when we look at our different faculties, we have got the eyes and ears and nose and so on. These things exist in relation to each other, because these faculties have different entities and they serve different functions. So because of that, if a certain faculty performs certain action and they are simply labeled as eyes, a certain faculty performs certain things and therefore they are labeled as ears, and in relation to those things, certain faculty performs different action, it is called nose. So this is how things are posited in relation to each other. So also when we think in terms of I, there couldn't be I if others don't exist at all. Because self could only exist and posited because there are others. If others don't exist, we cannot talk about I or self. So what I'm trying to explain here is in relation to others, we can posit I or self. In relation to I or self, others are posited. If there are not us, then there can be they. If they don't exist, there can be us. You see, so we and they, or us and they, us versus they, these are all relatively existent.
That in days and tongues, Atandu, that Dame gone to the Hitaki Chamberes, Kali Kavores, Lila Yamas.
Of course, I'm not trying to imply here in any way that, it is a really simple matter and a simple thing to understand emptiness or selflessness. It is not.
Karesana, the Tundale Pay, only some Tomban you turn to a chair, done it, Sanjay Tanji, Kuli Mambucho, Tahana, Gita, Jedanicho, Malaria, Atendigita, Sanji Mashabakali, Kabuchi. Kuli Kabushini, Dua Jamni, Ted Doanya Machine, Luz Nanger Mato, Lil Habuji Katachi, Dawachi, Tasha, Yalochi, Tachi, Lochi, to a coverage.
As we look at the life stories of the great masters of the past, including our Shakyamuni Buddha or other Buddhists, from the past, as well as Manjushri Lama Tsongkhapa or Rinpoche, as well as other great Tibetan masters such as Mila Raba, the great yogi of Tibet, or other great masters for that matter, they dedicated their lives into spiritual practice, purification of negativities and mental obscurations, and accumulation of merit and wisdom. And through such spiritual dedication and sacrifices, they were able to realize emptiness as it is. So they did not get it just by osmosis. They didn't get that by just some kind of a free gift. Buy one and get one free. Not that. Geshe didn't say that, but I'm trying to make the point here. So it requires a lot of efforts and dedication, purification practice and accumulation practice to be able to realize emptiness as it is. Just look at the life stories of these great masters.
Lala Kota Hindu so, Tamikaba Yatans. Some of Tomani that they turn Toyatan, the Nick Chetani, Chech Kulutan, Tahana Yinkape, Jebos in a Jesset to give a the town member, Kevin Kaba Yantani, Dusinita, at the Moon Charanka, and it to chew your race, some of Tomani going to chew your race cannon, like Hubert, I can say, double pure corner.
Rinpoche, in his most excellent praise to Shakyamuni Buddha, it is simply called praise to Buddha through teaching relativity or dependent arising, Tental Terpa in Tibetan, or sometimes it's called let's say Nyingbo, eloquent presentation of dependent arising. So in this very profound and deeply moving spiritual stanzas, Rinpoche, basically tells Shakyamuni Buddha that in many lifetimes before, you sacrificed so much to realize, understand dependent arising, and to realize emptiness. Over many lifetimes, you sacrificed your wealth or resources. You were born as a prince, but you gave up everything for that. You sacrificed your families. You even sacrificed your lives many times. And through such sacrifices and dedication, you realized, dependent arising and emptiness.
That told you person taking sand of it. And then Zhang Lusen, and it and the Jimangboy, Tenzunala, Sanyiran Kana, Tenzunala Kanga, Sungers.
So if we look up into the life stories of Buddhas as recorded in works such as Jataka Mala, or the Garland life stories of Buddhas in past lives, literally translating here, or the Sutra of Wise and Foolish, they really record how much sacrifice Buddha made over many lifetimes, in order to, realize nature of realities and benefit sentient beings.
I drink the Yatandu, the Zagumal, I little go to 10 June, 10 June Yimbi, Jintages and Tom, 10 here, Mato, Tandu Mambu Cages.
So we have to stop there today. Of course, I just kind of opened the topic, how important it is to understand dependent arising and very briefly explain what dependent arising could mean at different levels. And there are a lot more to talk about, which we have to continue next week.
Rangi chima rupata, Demba may be taught Karisana, Penjun race, the Penjun be Junse Rangi Madupare, Demba Madupa race in the Dusni Jugu, Chesanti, Penjun Kitaka, Tansi Pari, Chesanti, Heber Kitchembers.
So the point I'm trying to make here is how do we know that things are empty of inherent existence or true existence, or things are emptiness? Well, the big indicator or the reason we have is that things exist dependently. So dependent arising or dependent origination or, is the big reason. It is the greatest reason to establish how things are empty of true and inherent existence.
Welcome
to share it again.
Karin.
We will stop there today, and I have two prayer requests. Oh. I don't know. So Geshe said he has an announcement to make, so we will announce these prayer requests, next week.
Oh yeah. That train cage you got reason, only Tanda Children Kunkani, Naranjo Kishum was the inner, there's a cart on any Tundula, any touching to the Gamba color, Jaron which is Shakin to Grace Canandus.
So today, I want to make this announcement that I think we have not been able to do it here, but I heard that the Department of Religion and Culture of the Tibetan government in exile in Dharamsala, India, asked the Tibetan communities and the monastic communities in India to do special prayers for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And the prayers that they asked them to do are a Heart Sutra, Pranjana Parameda Hridayam Sutra, and name mantra of Acharya Padmasambhava or Guru Rinpoche.
Like carrying with the Jackie Chambers, Kanayana, Munti show conducting in a carrying with any sick captain, she turned in the summer, and they don't motivate Santa Mavericks, songs like Kidaki. Jordan Kusin Kidai to call Kay Marcina, Tangaranzo Tuni. Maranzo Tungo in Sani Kusin Bugi, and Zuki, do at that Maranzo Timoton Yabu Dugu.
Heart Sutra is a very profound sutra, and as it is stated elsewhere, that if we recite Heart Sutra and or chant or recite it or read it, and then we reflect on the meaning of the Heart Sutra, there is no any kind of obstacle that cannot be overcome and be defeated. It's that profound. And so, of course, we recite Heart Sutra and reflect upon this for the long life of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I'm saying that, I want to say that, of course, His Holiness and life is always secured. Nothing can really harm his life. But the fact of the matter is, his coming to the world here is to benefit us. It's dependent upon our actions as well. So we need to, increase our merit so that, his existence in the world will be, prolonged. Otherwise, his life is, free of obstacles. And it is in that sense, we need to do prayers, we need to accumulate merit and dedicate them for his long life and for the success of his actions.
아니 로베는 부지다 렌디 첨부 옆에 차디거스. 손자 이 생활이 된 거요스.
And also, our government in exile has asked us to recite the name mantra of Acharya Padmasambhava, who is also called Loben Rinpoche or the Guru Rinpoche, because we had a very strong karmic connection with him historically, and he did so much to establish the foundation of Buddhism in Tibet, and so he is very important in that matter. So we recite his name mantras and pray to him to be able to overcome obstacles and prolong his holiness life.
That is ngarazo kherenyum botengyo mate ta kherenyum bokta chu ngab dibena tia tanga teng de paranga de parasanga de bodhiso tete
no
ani lawan be changa te ali this year ngata zanyima nek yul ani ndoste ta de hije me gwashi bisan dostem gis.
So what I'm going to do is, of course, we may not be able to recite the whole Heart Sutra here, considering our given situation here. But we could recite the Heart Sutra mantra, Tayata Gade Gade Para Gade Para Sam Gade Bodhi Soha. That captures the essence of Heart Sutra, and we will also recite the name mantra of Guru Rinpoche or Acharya Padmasambhava. So we will continue to do that from this Sunday, and at the end of every Sunday teaching, we will spend a little bit of time reciting these mantras.
That ring and Tongba Gonton Tava de Hia Martina, and Tongba Gonju Tavanda with the Karasa, Tinjung Tendi here, Tenzo Santona, the US.
I did not get to explain how to meditate on emptiness today, but I did explain briefly, what's the best approach to understand emptiness, that is through dependent arising. So I explained dependent arising, so if you meditate on that as you're reciting these mantras, then that would serve the purpose. So let us dedicate our collective merit from the teachings and reciting these mantras for the flourishing of Dharma, the source of benefits and happiness throughout the universe. May His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all other great spiritual masters of the Lamas live long and be successful in fulfilling their visions benefiting sentient beings. May spiritual communities throughout the world and spiritual practitioners from all traditions remain healthy, harmonious, and be successful in fulfilling their spiritual aspirations. May this and other world environments be free of all kinds of unwanted pains and problems, and beings find peace, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. In short, we dedicate our collective merit for all kind mother sentient beings to be free from the fears and dangers of two types of mental obscuration, and may we all reach complete enlightened state quickly.
Amen.